A question's been bothering me recently, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit. What is the purpose of journalism? It used to be the case that journalists were paid to investigate and disclose information. And despite bias being present, at least we got information. For example, in 2002, the Boston Globe broke a massive rape scandal in the Boston Catholic Church. And, this has had a pretty lasting impact on the reputation of the church. A movie came out last year or 2 years ago called Spotlight that really documents this. It's a bit biased, but it shows what good journalism is. It showcases, how they have to go through all sorts of loopholes and jump through hoops to try to get the information out and all the people that are resisting this information from getting out. It's actually a pretty good movie. And I use this as an example of good journalism because it did require investigation. Actual, real investigation. They discovered something that very few people knew about, and they gave those people the platform that they needed. And this is what journalism is. It's not parroting others, it's not giving your opinion, and it's not demonizing others. Yet what we get out of international organizations is oftentimes just garbage. Like a major news network telling us literal lies, a market newspaper doing a hit piece on a YouTuber, a media company telling us they had documents that a world leader liked getting pissed on. The list of media fabrications, bullying, and lies is endless. Despite their nefarious deeds, they remain complacent, and very few people inside of the media are calling them out for it. And that's sort of the point of this video. While I'm not really going to talk about the PewDiePie thing, as there's, just a shit ton of stuff out there about it online already, it is what has cemented my opinion of modern journalism. So in 2016, we saw the 10-year anniversary of WikiLeaks, a website that journalists use as a means to gather information, just like the Boston Globe did in 2002. So ask yourself this. If the year were 2004 and emails from Karen Hughes released that honestly talked in code, directed Bush to bash homosexuals, criticized the Iraq war, and commented on Bush's awful instincts, would this have not been widely discussed by every media outlet, including Fox? Yeah, of course it would. Yet it was the terrorist cell-like hard work of small groups of individuals that brought any of this information to light. It wasn't until after the information was discovered, passed around by all these groups, validated and published on places like Politically Correct Incorrect on 4chan and the Donald on Reddit, that the media picked up on the very least important pieces. Then when people began to notice that slang that they had known for 10 years were being used in odd ways, and many coincidences began to appear, the media began to massively dismiss those claims. Fact-checkers, and I use both of those words very loosely, began to skew what was actually being said with what was happening. Despite story after story of famous pedophiles being busted, this one can't be real according to the media. However, when we know that politicians get busted for pedophilia and sex crimes, why does the media shy away from any investigation at all? It isn't as if people don't know that this happens. Look at Jared Fogle, Sandusky and his son, Jimmy Savile, Dennis Hastert. This is just stuff I can just pull up instantly out of my head. Even typing in pedophile politicians into a Google search yields some weird discrepancies when compared to a Bing search. Look at that. In finishing up the script to this video, I really have to acknowledge how frustrating it really was to write all of this, because a lot of the points I wanted to talk about forced me to ramble a little bit, because the media just has done such an awful job. Not a single mainstream media news outlet reported on the 474 arrests in California. How is that not national news? 500 people arrested in one day, all that dealt with child and human trafficking? That's just absurd. How is that not national news? How is taking jokes out of context an international news story? And I'll tell you why. Because pedophile doesn't fit into the media's Overton window. But you know what fits into the media's Overton window? Calling people that they don't like or that are a threat to them Nazis. That fits in their Overton window. Because that's all any of that PewDiePie stuff really is, isn't it? The media is so threatened by the very idea that one man making videos in a small room by himself has more power, influence, and control than they do. The elite media class has been asking themselves for the last 2 years why nobody has been listening to them. And it's really very, very simple. When they had massive scandals fall in their lap during the Obama administration, only a few outlets actually investigated anything. Everything else was swept right under the rug and ignored. And in the 8 years that they sat on their hands, the world learned to investigate for themselves. While the media still exists in an age where a kid rides on a bike throwing a newspaper, everyone else has the entire catalog of human knowledge at their fingertips, and that scares them. We are a threat to the media because we do not need them as much as we did anymore. All we need are good journalists that are willing to ask questions and disseminate it without bias.